So I got a little sidetracked there, but I'm still on this mission to make every video from my backlog of video ideas that I wanted to make. And this one is a video to just close out and get some closure from a project that I started and did not finish. And story of my life, right? I've started and not finished a whole bunch of projects, or started and failed at things. But I feel like this one kind of fits the theme of the day, with everyone bitching about YouTube's ad monetization going into the toilet. All of their ad rates are incredibly low, and the demonetization filters that are being placed on YouTube, it's around the same theme of what ruined this project that I was trying to create last year. And I think I wanted to create this project in order to increase the amount of fun people were having here on YouTube. Because for a while, nobody was showing up to have fun. People were showing up because, your dog's sister's friend's former roommate's cousin is talking about you. What are you going to do about it? That's why people were showing up for the drama, but they weren't having fun with the drama. So, like in projects past where I had brought people together in a spirit of kind of secularism in the classical sense, where everyone gets a seat at the table, I decided to create a new game for YouTube. And the game that I created was called The Flood. Now, I kind of got a reputation amongst some of my hardcore viewers who watch everything that I put up, that I don't show up to the events that I schedule, because for the past year and a half, I would schedule hangouts on my channel, and they were called Before the Flood Begins. And that was a odd title to have after Leonardo DiCaprio made that documentary Before the Flood, because then, like, all of those things that I'd been making for a whole year seemed like they were about Leonardo DiCaprio's film, and it had nothing to do with that, or even like actual flooding or global warming or climate change. It had nothing to do with that. So the flood, the two things that inspired the flood, the two events in my life online that inspired the flood, more than, say, Hate Club or Blue Chat or Cable Hut or Ponage All Stars or any of those other groups, more than Hoovians USA, more than all these other groups that I'd been a part of. The thing that inspired the flood was an event that happened on the Phantom Lion's channel. Now, the Phantom Lion hasn't been active on his own channel. It's been Felinoid keeping it up. But at one time, years and years ago, we're talking like 6 years ago, right? The Phantom Lion had a bet with another YouTuber, and that bet was that he could go a length of time without talking about or mentioning comic book characters. And at that time, his favorite comic book character was Batman, and we knew that if he won this bet with this other female YouTuber, that he would get a kiss from that female YouTuber. He would get to visit her and kiss her. And this kiss actually happened, and yes, the Phantom Lion has kissed a girl once in his life. I have video evidence that I got from the Blog TV event where it happened. Okay? I'm not sharing right now, but that's another story. But anyways, he won the bet. But we didn't make it easy for him, because when we heard that he had this bet going on, that he had to go this certain amount of time without talking about comic books at all, a bunch of us went to his channel, to some videos of his, and we started leaving comments about comic books and comic book characters. And because I knew his favorite DC comic character was Batman, and that he did a very good Batman impersonation, the voice, I decided to leave comments saying that Batman Forever with Arnold Schwarzenegger was the greatest Batman movie ever, hands down, just to try to troll him into trying to, get him to talk about comic books, or at least, make it hard on him to win the bet. And so, hundreds of us left comments on his video. We were in Blog TV little groups, and the game lasted for like 2 days, and at the end of it, Phantom Lion's video was actually charting on the engagement section of YouTube, where they would give people #1 comments, #1 views for the day. He was actually like number 17 or so in comments for the day, of all the videos that were on YouTube. And so we actually achieved something very big by this little game that we were playing with the Phantom Lion. And good on him for winning the bet and getting a kiss. The other event in my life that inspired the flood was, I'm going to say it was in 1998. Okay, pre-YouTube, but this is when the event happened. I was playing a mud game. This is multiple user dimension, and basically think about World of Warcraft and EverQuest 2 without graphics, just like the text, the text that's on the side. This is how these mud games were played, and it would scroll in front of your eyes kind of like the Matrix, because the text was whipping by so fast, that and if you didn't use any client program, it was all green, monochrome, and you had to use Telnet to get into it if you didn't have a client, but I would use a client like Zmud. Anyways, playing this game, you would go into different rooms, and basically you would have to type, walk north, and then your character would be in a different room that was all text-based script, right? A little description would pop up in the room, and you could type commands like look at whatever was in that description, and you get other little things that popped up, and it really took a lot of programming as far as descriptions of everything for people to come up with a good mud game. And there were many of them. Force Edge was one that I liked that had its own little system to it. It was more like Dungeons and Dragons, but the mud that I played the most was called Serengale, and it had been copied and then modified by many, many other people because it was so open source. So there was a lot of different realms that were based on Serengale, right? Well, you're supposed to stay a little bit in character, and there's like a Dungeons and Dragons type game, that's the setting. There's orcs and kobolds and goblins, and you have to fight them, and it was kind of like a text-based, computer-based version of Dungeons and Dragons. It's like you're playing with an actual DM, but the DM is the script. One day, while playing this mud game, a group of players joined, and they all were named after Star Trek characters and Star Trek The Next Generation characters. And all of these characters together were speaking in character as if they were actually those Star Trek characters. And they were going around following people who were trying to play the real dungeon-like game, and they were completely out of place, but they were staying in character. And, saying, Captain, my tricorder says that this being is getting more hostile. It's just they were having a good time, and they were trolling the fuck out of people, and people were either pissed or just finding it hilarious. Either way, they were getting a reaction out of everyone, just showing up in this game just to troll people by role playing a completely different thing. So, I've always remembered that day because it must have taken a concerted effort where people had to come together and all create alternate characters in order to log on to the game under with that character name, and all be in on the joke, you know. And sometimes it only takes like a couple followers. Like you got one guy who starts it, and then there's the first follower, which is the most important one, and then a couple other people join, and then you have a movement, right? But this was an event to the 100 or so of us that were playing on that server at the time. This was something that stuck with me. And it was because it was fun. I mean, it was something unexpected. You know, it got us talking, it got us laughing, got us pissed. So I wanted to recreate something like that because here we are years and maybe even decades later, you know. I came to a point here on YouTube where I saw that a lot of people weren't having fun. A lot of them my friends. Mostly because of the topic change to social justice and how much it was just ripping apart friendships here on YouTube. So, like some of these other projects that had brought a lot of fun to people for a little bit of time before it got old and moldy, I started this thing called The Flood. And I'm actually publishing right now on Google Docs the charter for The Flood, the idea as I had it, and I put it down on paper. And basically, we're going to make a club where we would go to random people's videos and leave at least 100 comments. And part of the charter for this game would be that the comments would have nothing to do with the content of the actual video that we were placing them on. This was like drive-by commenting, okay? And we would go in a gaggle that would be led by a Google Hangout. And a lot of thought was put into this between the few people that I worked on this with. As far as what should our goals be, one of the terms that we came up with was without regard to malice, which was like, say I had an argument with another YouTuber, if we were going to pick whose video to do a drive-by commenting on, it should not have anything to do with who do we hate today, with real feelings. It should be random. Like, maybe we do somebody that I have had arguments with before, maybe we don't, but we don't give any regard to malice. That's the way we were putting it. So we then decided that we would assign characters to each of the people that they would have to play. And so some of these were the scientist, the disagreeer, the agreeer, the social justice warrior, the conspiracy theorist, the toady, the victim, the braggart, the foreign lover, like the Pepe Le Pew, right? Pepe Le Pew fucking loving the person that they're responding to, and the white knight, right? And so we would have this one thread of at least 100 comments just pop up on a random video that maybe didn't even have 100 views before that, right? And we were just going to have fun having little random-ass conversations that don't belong there. But that would be led by a hangout where it would all make sense, because if someone were actually find the hangout where they were given that drive-by commenting from, they might understand and enjoy what we had done. So there were variations of this theme We came up with a couple of other slang terms, like we borrowed the peanut gallery from the Bozo the Clown Show. That would be everyone in the audience that were like, shh, you know, if you're not going to be with us and productive, don't tell them, silence from the peanut gallery. And then speed bumps would be people who were watching the hangout, but they weren't in the hangout, but they would show up on the video and leave comments with us. We would call them speed bumps. And then the shot across the bow would be the first comment that started it, and we would try to work in the word flood into anything that was the shot across the bow in order to give a kind of nod nod wink wink to let people know that yes, this was indeed part of the game, and nothing that was said in the ensuing thread should be taken seriously, because maybe people are using their real accounts and they've been given the conspiracy theorist as their character in the game, and so you don't want them to be held to having to answer for the comments that they left in this game if they're just playing a character. So yeah, we had a lot of thought put into this game. Now let me tell you what killed the Flood. Okay, now that you know what inspired it, what brought it about, what had us working on this, and then how much thought we put into this, and link in the description box to some of the written out description of this. Okay, what killed the Flood was YouTube cracking down on spam. People trying to market themselves by leaving random ass comments on videos, trying to exploit social engineering, whereby if you just went around to 100 different YouTubers' videos and left a comment, at least 5 of them would check out your channel and maybe subscribe, and they might reply to your comment and feel like they had a connection. But there were people who were just leaving random comments that were vague like an astrology reading on other people's videos, like, hey man, this is a great video, keep on doing what you're doing, and that was it, right? And you go to their channel, you find they've got a couple videos, you're like, oh, they appreciate me, I might appreciate them, and then you subscribe them. That was the whole point. They were social engineering, right? And so Google and YouTube, they decided to crack down on the number of comments that people could leave altogether, because this social engineering was actually artificially growing channels. Okay, and there were people who were using this that now are still on top of the YouTube game, as it were. People who tried everything under their power to be able to grow their channel, and they actually succeeded with each successive exploit that was shut down by YouTube. But this exploit of just using social engineering, this caused YouTube to make some pretty strict rules about how many comments you can leave on videos in a certain amount of time. Okay? So, say I were to leave 5 comments in an hour. My comments might then be redacted from the videos and put into a spam filter, right? And sometimes this is retroactive within the hour. Like, your comment shows up for a while, and then you leave comments on other videos, and all of a sudden YouTube thinks, you know what, this guy's talking a little bit too much. We're just going to take all the comments that he's made and put them in a spam filter on each of the different people's videos. And, each of those content creators can decide whether or not that comment was actually a good content comment. And this slowed down the people who were trying to self-promote themselves and spam across YouTube in order to artificially grow their channels. And I appreciate that part. But what it did to the idea of the Flood was it shut down the ability for us to have a game made out of the comments section on videos. Because as soon as you start leaving more than 5 comments on videos that are not your own, you start to get noticed by Google's filter, and you start to get spam shadow banned. You know, most of my videos that I place on YouTube now, the number of comments does not match the number of comments that I can actually count. Like, I might see, when I first post a video, 8 comments, you know, as far as how many comments should be there, and then I count, there's only 5. What happened to the other 3? Well, they've been commenting all over YouTube, and they've been kind of shadow banned. You know? And some of the comments will go to spam, and some of them just aren't available for seeing anywhere. Anywhere. So, if we were to try to implement this game and try to actually play it, it wouldn't be long before everyone who played the game, The Flood, would just be shadow banned. And no one would want to use their own accounts. They'd have to create sock accounts, but even those sock accounts would, you know, after one game, start to be shadow banned in the YouTube comment sections, and it wouldn't be fun anymore. You know? And it could be that YouTube also would not have liked us to play games like this, to randomly spread joy to people's lives by, you know, taking YouTubers who have no subscribers and are just starting out and just, you know, bombarding one video with a whole bunch of random comments. You know, maybe they don't think that that's something that people should be doing, and they wouldn't make any exceptions or try to fix their filter system in order to allow for something like this, because it's just not worth it in the long run when you compare it to the benefit of not having people be able to do social engineering and artificially grow a channel. Maybe. But anyways, this is the last day, the last moment, the last video that I will make about The Flood, stylized as F100D. Okay? The idea is dead because of the mechanics of YouTube changing to take away our ability to effectively play a game like this. And it was a great idea. Maybe it'll work on a different platform. Maybe one of you can take the idea and do something else with it where there isn't anything that would negatively affect the people who play the game. Maybe, you know. But as for now, I think the project's dead. I got closure by making this video, and I'm going to move on to some of the other projects that I've got on the back burner, as well as make all of these videos that I have on my list of video ideas